Jim's first official public print publications are 1960, the 5 crash prints. I think you saw a couple on the screen. But then, very shortly thereafter, there come the ties, and the ties are hand-colored. One of the unusual things about Dine at this time, when everyone is fabricating prints and everything is slick and clean, is that he starts dabbing color on his prints by hand. And I wondered if you'd like to comment on that.
Well, I still do it, and many times, and in those days particularly, I did it out of impatience. I didn't feel like waiting around to do another state or another plate that you'd have to register, and I thought this made it really visceral. And also, it was a financial consideration because I could only afford the black and white. So here I've got this hand, so why not use it? But not absurdly, I do think it makes a print livelier.
Unquestionably.
And I printed with 2 wonderful printers. They were both at Pratt Graphic Arts Center in New York, and the lithographer was called Emiliano Serini. He was very good, very straightforward black and white printer. And the woman was called Nono Reinhold, who was a Dutch lady and who was there for 2 years. She etched beautifully, and I made the ties, but I also made, are they objects for traveling, or you don't have it, huh?
No, we don't.
I don't either. But it's somebody does. I think they are 10 objects for traveling. And
I'll have to look them up.
I hand-colored those also.
Okay. Then you, I believe, were taken by Jasper Johns to
Right.
Universal Limited Art Editions on West Islip, Long Island. The Tanya Grossman, I had my first blintz at Tanya Grossman's. It's a kitchen and a workshop, and you always got the impression she just popped the prints in the oven. She was an immigrant grandmother type,
I printed there for about 10 years, I guess, on and off. She was a grandmother type. She was rather controlling. And
yes, an iron grandmother.
wasn't quite my taste as a grandmother, for a grandmother. So I had to keep going in and out like that. And she always had good quality printers, and I enjoyed working there most of the time. I just didn't want to be dictated to. But a guy came to see me called Paul Cornwell Jones, who was a British publisher. He had a press at the time called Editions Electo, and I first made the toolbox with him.
Right.
The silkscreen, group of silkscreens. I went to London in '65 and made this box of silkscreens at a time when my peers were making silkscreens with a very skilled screen printer who cut all the stencils, and he was called Chris Prater. And I had been inspired by Edoardo Pelazzi, the sculptor, who made a wonderful portfolio based on Wittgenstein. Is it called something? If not,
As Is When.
As Is When, yeah. And I really was stunned by that, and I don't think the toolbox came up to that. I prefer, once again, but when I saw the result of the toolbox, I preferred the collages I had given him.
Right. Well,
it was kind of deadened by the printing.
The toolbox is the least hands-on of all your productions.
Exactly.